All right. Today, I want to talk about ad campaigns. Okay. And I want to talk about ad campaigns in several different methodologies. But I want to talk about ad campaigns in terms of generating a system in which you can put ad money in and get transactions out. I think on the investment side, we've tested enough money now to pretty much stab ourselves or go crazy. Um, but I kind of see different strategies working, and I wanted to share with everybody tonight what I think is kind of like the top three best funnels for real estate ad campaigns. Okay. First one, start off. Does everybody have a basic understanding of Facebook ads? I mean, it's pretty simple. You can't scroll these days without seeing sponsored ads. So I want to talk about inside that gigantic sphere of billions of dollars of advertising being spent on Facebook, Meta, Instagram. What really is what we're seeing through testing, cost per lead as a metric, and also what types of campaigns are working at a very low ad spend. You guys are going to be super, super, super actually surprised that the average lead is not $250. So that being said, I want to share that I've been testing a cash offer ad. We haven't really had any conversion off of it, the last version of it, but I've been doing a cash offer ad on Facebook, spent about $136, and we generated 21 lead form results in 20 days. So a lead a day at $6.51. Okay. So if you're wholesaling or if you're flipping or you're looking to buy properties off market and you're not going to buy them on market with a real estate agent, if you spent $6.51 a day, you could potentially call somebody that isn't cold data, right? Not a list you purchase, not door knocking, people who've actually digested your ad and given you their information. Now, some of those people might be looky-loos. Some of those people might have just been clicking on seeing what's up there. But I think one of the funniest things about looking at the leads that come in certain funnels is sometimes there are competitors looking at what we're doing. I've had like 3 or 4 in the last couple months. But that being said, our cost per lead on most of our advertising for investments, which I've run 4 flights for cash offers. Give me 1 second. Overview. And I'll share an example of it if I can see it. We're at 1,000 leads. We are at, pardon my computer's being slow, hence the reason why I'm getting a new laptop. We have spent a total, and for 2024 on cash seller leads, a total of $800. We've generated over 280 leads.
Holy cow.
So I want everybody to kind of just take a step back and ask yourself, like, what is the content that we're sending, right? And I'm going to explain good ad, bad ad, because I want to share what can be effective to you guys, especially if you're looking to wholesale deals. Bad ad is a picture of a crappy house that says cash offer on it. We've seen a million of them see those ads, right? So I actually built that ad to test it. Okay. I literally built the bad ad to test against the good ads. And what was funny about that is we actually got results. That was 20, I think there was 21 leads over like a $280 spend. Ad cost reduced by 50% when we went to a video ad. So shooting a video directly to the seller, asking for them to contact us in the need of divorce, death, distress, foreclosure, whatever it is. But inside of those reasons why, we can create more ads. So if you're doing a video ad, you can do 4 different types of video ads. And why I'm bringing this up, guys, is that I hear so many people that are starting off in real estate. They call me and they're like, hey, I'm getting started. I'm reading books. I'm doing this stuff, but I just don't know how to get started. And I tell them, can you spend $10 a day, $300 a month? That's going to be cheaper than your time and gas trying to door knock people or trying to do Deal Machine or any of the other stuff. It's the fastest way to get out to the masses. Okay. Inside of that, shooting video ads are going to be the most effective to getting that cost per lead down. And that's the key, right? We're not talking about crazy ad spend, $2,000, $3,000. I'd love to see this ad at $3,000 to see how many leads it brings in. But it doesn't have to just be cash offer leads, guys. It can be whatever type of investment property that you're looking for can be put into a digestible ad and ran and tested. And I think the biggest aha moment from all of these ads and the first strategy is that no one tests. So many real estate investors I know, they pay for ads, they hire somebody to do their ads, and they don't test them, they don't optimize them, and they don't change the message and swap out videos. That's what we've been really, really good at. So even on the real estate brokerage side, every listing, if it doesn't go pending within 14 days or 20 days, we've ran at least 4 different formats of ads: video ad, picture ad, short form ad, and also a second picture or featured photo ad. And testing all of those, we're spending about $250 to $400 just for that listing, just on ads inside Facebook. That's not including anything else we're doing. Generating about 100 to 140 leads. You take that on the investment side, not listings and residential purposes, probably operating about half that. But 70 people are clicking on those ads, putting in their information, and getting phone calls. So the second piece of this puzzle, I said there was like 3 strategies to make this super successful, is if you generate the lead, you have to call them. The second biggest problem we see in the second strategy is people generate the lead, but they call them once. Ed's job over the last year or so has been testing how many calls it takes to actually generate a conversion. And what we've noticed is that if these people aren't called, text, or emailed numerous times, they're not going to convert. So it doesn't matter how much you spend. You may get lucky once or twice a month. Somebody answers the phone, it turns into an appointment. But what I'm really want to saying is if you're going to spend $6 to $8 a day generating a lead a day, you have to call these people and they have to dump into a CRM. If you don't have money for a CRM, you at least need to use Facebook ads, look at your leads, and then make phone calls and put it on note paper. This is the cheapest way to get started running ads by far. But if you don't call them, there's no point of even spending the money. We've seen tons of people spending money on ads and then not calling. So, third strategy, YouTube. Inside of YouTube, you have more targeting than Facebook. So I can't share my specific YouTube channel because the Facebook ads are not run, or the YouTube ads are not run from it's ran from a vendor's account. But what I'm trying to get at is that it's free to shoot YouTube videos, right? So if you're shooting content that is going to resonate with your potential investors, distress, divorce, probate, whatever it is, tax liens, make content, 3, 4, 5, 6 videos about each and every one of those people that potentially could sell, and then test those videos, which one performs the best, and then use that video as an ad. That's the cool thing about YouTube, is that you can take the best performing videos and then put ad dollars in them, versus Facebook, where you can't just put an ad out there on organic post on your Facebook wall and then hope you're going to be able to optimize it and figure out what post did the best other than your friends liking it, right? YouTube is open to the public. It's a gigantic search engine. So if I was a first-time investor and somebody asked me, Dan, what could I do with, let's just say, $300 to $400 a month to get started in real estate investing? All I would do is shoot YouTube video ads, YouTube video content, and do Facebook ads and test the crap out of them. ABC, ABC, ABC test, everything. Because direct mail has such a low conversion rate that you're going to spend the exact same amount in direct mail, but you're not going to get first name, last name, phone number, and email address of hundreds of people. What's missing is the phone number and the email that you don't get when you send out a direct mail list to non-owner occupieds or whoever, right? You just get a first name, last name, mailing address. So you're missing the email and the phone number that is so critically important to be successful in that machine. That alone in the last 20 minutes is the most successful way of getting started in very simple systems. In the event that you are not getting conversion, what you have to tweak is the copywriting, the hook, the problem, the pain, whatever it is. So when I was in advertising school, what I would always do is a test. And I would say, hey, who is buying my product and why are they buying my product? That's just simple information. So we'd write all the reasons down of why somebody's selling their house for cash. Time problem, money problem, drug dependence problem, need to be somewhere else, relocation problem, inherited and property problem, right? And then we would just build a massive list of potential headlines to hook those people in. So one of the biggest mistakes I see real estate investors do is they hire somebody to do ads and then they don't monitor the copy that the person that they hired to do the ads is actually doing. How many times, Ed, have we hired somebody to do outsourced work and then we asked them to pull up the ads and then we were like, what are you doing?
A number of times, just appalled by the copy.
Horrible. They threw it out to a VA in the Philippines to write, or they drank their coffee and sped through it in 15 minutes, but there was no real copywriting strategy. So why I'm bringing this up is if you want to start as a wholesaler or a house flipper and you can constantly push out content, the better you can refine the craft of the hook and the copy and your value proposition and how you operate, the easier it's going to get to increase that lead efficiency and optimization. So that campaign is actually going to go from, hey, I spent $136.61 and got 21 names and phone numbers and email addresses to I got 40. And as you test those strategies, test the headline. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Alex Hormozy. Yes.
Okay, so you're giving us big chunks of information. When you say test, walk me through it like I'm a 6-year-old. What do you mean by test?
2 ads.
Right.
Same client type. So same persona. So let's just give you an example. Somebody who's going into pre-foreclosure. All right. I'm going to write 2 different hooks or headlines with 2 different value propositions of what the solution is. Problem, solution, pain, remedy. And I'm going to run those ads either in parallel or I'm going to run one and exhaust it for 10 days. And then I'm going to turn around, let it expire. And I'm going to turn around and run the second ad for 10 days, doing pretty much the exact same ad spend.
Okay. So then if you're testing it and someone else is writing it, is it the same or do you do something different?
If somebody else is writing the ad for us, then we just want to see those ads once they launch them. So we can make any revisions in the front end of spending our money. Versus, hey, I ran these, they didn't perform. What were you running? The biggest, and I used to work for a marketing agency for real estate. The biggest problem is when CRM companies and marketing agencies, you give them money and they say they have a 50% or 25% management fee. All they do is generate you a lead, but you have no clue how they generated you a lead. So that's why I'm shooting this entire marketing video about bringing it in-house, learning it, and then now you have expectations when you outsource it. It's kind of the opposite approach of what we see real estate investors, especially that first investor that flipped a house, made 50,000, and then they're like, oh, my time is better spent trying to find the next deal. And I have 10K in ad or marketing money that I can reinvest, and I paid myself 40. So they make the one mistake of just outsourcing it immediately, and then they're not getting conversion because they didn't learn the skill in order to outsource it and manage it and create that system.
Okay, got it. So then on the Facebook ad, when you talk about spending $300 a month, I don't understand Facebook enough, and maybe this is not the format to talk about it.
No, it
But
is.
where am I spending $300 on Facebook?
So when you get into Ads Manager and you create an ad,
Ads
it
manager.
allows you to do two things. You can either create a post
Okay,
like an ad, and then go into Ad Center and create the ad. And you can use a post as the actual format of the ad. It has literally, it's like create a new ad. Yes. Use a post. It's a little button. Push. Yes. I posted something that would be a great ad. It was a video with a call to action. Then you can use that post to create duration, how many days. I always suggest running ads if you're testing ads to do them in 15 or 30-day sprints. For us on the real estate side, when we're doing listing, 10-day sprints, because I can do 3 ad campaigns in a month.
okay,
And a house sells quicker, right? So you have duration, and then you have budget. And there's a minimum daily budget that Facebook will allow you to spend. I typically like to set a daily budget for 15 days, because then in a month, I can test 2 ads.
okay,
It takes at least 5 to 7 days for that ad to go through the learning phase. The learning phase is how is it optimizing? Because when you're doing real estate ads, it's a special ad category, housing. And that housing ad has to find its way into the algorithm to be found with people locally. You can still geo-target it, but it removes the age bracket from 18 to however old. You used to be able to literally only run ads on real estate from 18 to 24-year-olds or 36 to 50-year-olds, but they got rid of that. So you need to have at least a 15-day campaign for investing, because it needs to go through that 3 to 5 day learning period. And then once it starts to learn who is being responsive and who is clicking on that ad, then that algorithm is going to start to kick and it's going to start exhausting all of your budget.
okay. So then, so I'm gonna borrow this. If I wanted to see your ad, where would I look? It's like, where do I post my ad? Where do I publish it?
You would publish it. You would create. Okay, it's 2 ways to do this.
Okay.
You would create whatever your company is named, right? You create a Facebook business page for your company.
Okay,
That gives you access to Ad Manager.
okay,
You can't do it. You used to be able to do it from your private personal account, but they got rid of that. So that'll give you access to the Ad Manager, which allows you to create ads. And there's multiple objectives. I'll talk about objectives for a second. So the ads that we're running are typically website funnel driven. So what that means is that we want the ad person to fill the form out and it drops them into a website. The reason for that is that there's a retargeting pixel, which means if we can get that person to the website, there's a good chance that ad will start following them if we keep running it. There's other objectives like call. Okay, so let me explain something. Say you got a wholesaling dealing contract, and it's like the deal of the month, right? $136,000 house, 4-bedroom, 2-bath, tons of potential. 1 million investors are going to crush on it, right? And you run an ad with pictures of the property, and you say deal of the month. If you're a real estate investor, you never want to miss this deal ever. The objective may change, right? And you're not building a cash buyer list. You want to actually sell that property now. So your objective may be call. You want somebody to directly call you immediately. Hey, tell me about the property. Awesome. Then you can go through the questions of extracting the information for contact. I got your phone number. What's your first name, last name, company name, and email? So you just have a process around it. What that ad is usually doing passively, you're doing it via an objective of a call.
I see.
Other objectives include sending them out to like a Calendly or scheduling appointment page for you that's in sync to your client. We have really low conversion with that. I've tested 1 million times. The only thing it's really good at is recruiting agents. That's about it. Another objective that's pretty good is like a learn more or a Facebook form. Okay. So a Facebook form, you can ask as many questions as you want. So you could literally screen the lead. Let's just say that you did have that deal of the month and you wanted to make sure no one ever called you or gave you their contact information until you verify that they're a real estate investor that's real. So you asked them a bunch of questions. You can customize these forms. What's your first name? What's your last name? What's your company name? What's your email? Do you have a proof of funds that you can send to me before seeing the property? Or do you have a pre-approval from a hard money lender before you can see this property? How many deals have you ever done? How many years of experience do you have? Who's your hard money lender? Right? You can ask all of these questions. Now, let me tell you guys something. The more questions you ask, the more people are going to opt out. So unless you're selling something that's like amazing, you want to keep that in fair balance. Contact information, first name, last name, phone number, and email address is bare minimum. But a couple other questions to qualify. Let me put some context. A lead provider called me today in the real estate space, not investment space. And I said, my number one complaint with every lead generation company is you are more concerned about lead volume. So you look good about how many leads you generated for me. I'm more concerned about your forms being extremely long because I only want lead quality. I could care less if I only have 2 people come. You give me 200 leads or you give me 2 leads. And if one of those 2 leads is good, I'm better. Less call time, less CRM clutter, less bad emails, but you get what I'm trying to say. So if you're going to generate 100 leads to make one deal, or you're going to generate 2 leads and get one deal, I'd rather have 2 leads with one deal every time. So that's why video ads, you can post a video on your wall, on your business page. Then you can turn around, use that post as an ad campaign and drive it to a call to action landing page, which we're not going to have time to go in today. But that's typically the path that we're taking them. I want to say it's a 2-point approach. They're giving us their contact information on the form, and then they're being rerouted to the website. The reason we do it like that is if I just reroute them to the website, we're going to have a high bounce rate. But if I force them to see what's behind the wall, they're going to give me their contact information. And I've tested that over and over and over. Okay. Let me explain the differences between real estate business and investment business. And it's kind of interesting. People who want to see your listing just want to see it. They have no way of buying it. They're not pre-approved and they have no cash and they're actually not ready to buy a house. We'll click on that ad and put all their contact information in just to see what's behind the wall. In investing, they won't click on your ad unless they're a real investor that's looking for their next deal. So we have a higher conversion rate of people who are always looking for the next deal than we actually have people that are looky-loos on real estate listings. So that gives you some context is like, if you're trying to balance in your business, like say you're going to not list with the real estate agent, you're going to sell your house that you just flipped. It's a completely different ad strategy of where you're trying to drive them to. And how much of that contact information you're trying to. Because to the real estate agent, we want as many leads as possible because some of those are buyers that just haven't been given to a pre-approval to a lender yet. On investing, we want somebody who can write an offer, is all cash, has a hard money lender, is ready to roll. So I also want to break down the investment ads is that fix and flip or wholesaling sellers, so you're reaching out to people who want to sell, is also doesn't have to always just be the objective. Okay. Let's say you're starting off an investor and you want to partner with somebody. How many times have we seen in an Oregon real estate investment Facebook page? There's a couple. Somebody saying like, hey, I'm a contractor. I'd love to meet somebody I could partner on deals with, blah, 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 blah. That's basically an ad. But the problem is that they have like 4 or 5 people that respond and that's it. It goes nowhere. Maybe they meet with 1 or 2 people. But if I was an investment business and I wanted to generate a bunch of capital and do it in a legal way, I'm not talking about doing anything that's going to violate SEC rules or whatever it's called. I would put out ads and be like, hey, I'm always looking for people to partner with me, joint venture on deals, people who want to just fund the deals. I'm interested in talking to people that have money, who know nothing about investing, who would love to sit down and have a conversation, and maybe we could work something out. So you can use it to raise capital. You can use it to find people who are going to help give your business leverage. How many people on Instagram have you guys seen that probably follow in the investment space that they're not running ads per se? They're just promoting their content to drive people to them to invest in them. Grant Cardone, Pace Morby, sub 2. Like, their whole strategy isn't to sell deals, it's to raise capital or raise community memberships. So you can use these ads in the investment space for all different types of conversion. The lowest, and I want to go through lowest hanging fruit. The lowest hanging fruit with the best conversion in investment ads is people who don't want to hire a real estate agent. It's Property Max, or whatever they're called now. I think they sent me a text. What was it? What are they called now?
Yeah, they rebranded it something.
One sec. Nick, Nick Gianni hit me up today from Equity something or whatever. Well, he still said he was with Property Max, but we know that's not their name. He just texted me today. So the lowest hanging fruit are people who want to save a real estate commission, right? It could be 4%, 5%, 6%, 20 grand. But these same people don't understand that the offer they're getting maybe 25, 35, 45, 50,000. But if it works for them, right, it is what it is. It works for them. They want to get out. They don't want to go through showings and having lock boxes and signage or telling the neighbors. They just want to get a quick, easy sale. Why I'm bringing this up is that if you're looking to be a solution for not selling your property, then you have to do mass advertising, right? It's going to cost you way more money to run those types of ads. They are the lowest fruit because that's what a million people are thinking about. How can I save money when I sell my property? But here's the problem. When you run an ad like that as an investor, what happens when a bunch of people call you that have no margin on the deal? There's no like value add or rehab to happen. They're just calling you because they don't want to hire a real estate agent. Hence the reason, and I'm going to say this, hence the reason companies like Property Max, those properties, do like 3 or 4 price reductions, because the person who called them was just trying to save a real estate commission. It wasn't even actually a good deal. So you got to make sure when you're running these ads that you're hitting condition, problem, the things that are going to lead to you having margin on the deal. I want to be really clear about that, because that's where the confusion is with ads. We have a bunch of real estate investors running ads. I see them all the time on Facebook. They're local companies, and they try to say 7 different things like, hey, we'll close in 10 days, blah, 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 blah. We've ran those ads. We still get leads. But when you take it and you segment those ads based upon the actual problem they're having and let that ad run for way longer, then you're going to get better leads that have more margin. And I think that's the biggest issue with real estate investing and when it comes to marketing, is testing a client type or a type of funnel long enough to do 3 or 4 ads in there and test, but also changing that copy, but also changing the solutions that you're offering them. And I see this a lot of times with mobile home park flipping. Like, mobile home park flipping is kind of difficult. Let me explain why. They'll see ads for like, we'll buy your mobile home, all cash, close in 20 days. But the problem with mobile home flipping is that if the park requires approval and they won't let the house flipper buy the property without being park approved, or if it's in a 55 and over park, there's too much limitation. So what they do is they send out direct mail to only the parks. They've already talked to park management and said, hey, if I found a property in here that was crappy and we could fix it up, would you give us 90 to 180 days and we'll pay you lot rent? We're not actually going to reside at the property. We're just here to fix and flip the property. So there, you want to make sure that your whole process of whatever type of property you're flipping, you've gone through all the limitations and things that may be roadblocks. Because you may spend $300-400 trying to kick up mobile home flips. There's a reason I'm bringing all this up. I'll get to it in a second. And then next thing you know, you find one, you meet with them, and then you can't even buy it because the park's like, hey, you're not 55 and over and you're a 28-year-old investor. This actually happened to me. Not to me personally. I had an investor call me from Bigger Pockets. She was out of state. She flips a lot of mobile homes in the South. And she's like, hey, I've been going up and down the West Coast trying to find these parks. And I said, call the park management. Before you run ads, before you do any type of direct mail, before you try to attack any of these mobile home parks and find distressed properties that you'll pay all cash, no realtors, they'll move out, everything's good. You need to call the parks and make sure that you can actually buy the property. Tell them what you're doing, tell them how they prefer you do it, and then we'll actually get something started. So that is the key. There's research that's driven by what the end result is and the product that you're trying to buy or invest in. But also it's the messaging and the hook and the content that you're releasing that's going to attract those people. If you just did what I said and you never door knocked, never drove for dollars, never networked with other wholesalers, you never called a wholesaler ever, you just did exactly what I just said, you will do more house flips than everyone combined. I'm not joking. Because this exact system is exactly what big house flippers are doing. Verbatim. Why? We learned. When you don't do it, you don't spend the time to be methodical with it. You don't actually keep track of the ads you ran and how much you spend and the conversion and the calls you made. That's when things get messy and you don't convert. But anybody who implements this is going to have success in some regard. Any questions? Yes, Mike.
Not a question, more of a comment. When I gave my introduction, I didn't mention that I also have a master's in advertising, University of Illinois, and I'm sitting here. Dan, I mean, I love you dearly. This is spot on. I mean, you described exactly the system. This is how it works, but you might have to, you know, go over it several times or send out like a little outline or something like that. For newer people, I mean, this is like, I kind of put myself in those shoes and I'm thinking, boy, my head would be spinning right about now. But I know all about ABC testing and this, that, and run the ads. I mean, so big kudos. Anybody that understood what he was talking about, boom, that is gospel.
Thank you. And I think the biggest shift in all of it will be when you have skin in the game, not sweat equity, money. This is where things get funny. When you actually spend money on your credit card, you actually pay cash out of your checking account for ads and marketing and not sweat equity. That's when you actually pick up your phone. Everybody else that I know that just like drives around, networks with people, and then waits for wholesalers to pop deals on Facebook groups, that's sweat equity. It's just time and bandwidth and attention. And so I wanted to be really clear here in all of this is that the more you become a student of advertising and marketing, and I shot a reel about this 3 hours ago. I said, that's the difference between being a really successful real estate investor. And I have a really good client. We got 4 flips going on up north. And he called me one day and he said, hey, do you got anything else? I can't find anything on the market. No wholesalers are sending me anything. And I said, how much money are you spending on marketing outside of your relationship and time talking to me? He said, nothing. He's got nothing. No websites, no PPC, no direct mail. So the question reversed back to him is how much money do you have to spend in your operating account every month. Could be $100, could be $10,000. Doesn't really matter. But if you don't reinvest back in, you're not going to get a result. So that's how you compete with the people who are waiting with their fishing line in the river, hoping that the fish bites their lure. All right. I want you guys out there with like blow darts and spear guns hunting for the deals. That's really what's going to change the trajectory of your investment business.
I want to ask you a question, Dan. You went over how to do Facebook testing, marketing. How would you do the YouTube? You mentioned that you have a, you don't do your ads on your own channel. You have somebody else's channel that's probably trending or something like that, as I call it. But how would we do it?
YouTube ads are way more, and Ed can probably chime in on this. YouTube ads are way more complicated.
Okay.
So you're better off shooting organic content, finding which videos do the best that drive a major objective of your business, and then promoting those and cross-promoting those on Facebook. Geographically, YouTube rocks because you can go really far down into geo. They don't follow the same real estate regulations as Facebook does. Just because of their platform as a search engine. Facebook is not a search engine, it's an ad platform. But also in YouTube, one of the biggest components of it is that it has trending behavior. Now, Facebook does have some element of this, but YouTube, if you're like, hey, I want to run an ad to everybody who is searching wholesaling in Oregon only, you can run ads to those people. You can take it really specific by the search result that you think the target market is looking at. So if you have a bunch of people that are Oregon Dunes ATV riding, right? And let's just say you're selling aftermarket carbon fiber, Banshee parts, right? You can go onto YouTube and be like, hey, I only want to show this ad to people who are looking to drive ATVs in these specific areas. And then I'm going to put an ad budget or a daily limit or a bidding strategy that makes sense for my product and every month, how much I want to spend. Or you can take a video and promote something into those same circles. So there's like trailing or what I call follower ads, where it's following the people who are searching things, or it's taking content and blasting it out to the people that you want to see it. That's why I think the YouTube ads now are starting to get very smart, because how many of us, and I'll give you an example. My kid loves to take my phone at dinner and watch Nerf gun battles on YouTube. He's 5 years old. That's all he wants to do. And then when I get on my YouTube later in the evening, it's like every single Nerf gun or foam projectile that you can buy is following me around, because the content is driving that customer base. It's learning me. So I wouldn't suggest going into YouTube and running a bunch of ads without experience. And let me explain why I said outsource it. You can spend a lot of money really quick and blow through. I mean, I turned on one Google local services ad and I spent like $850 in 7 days with no conversion. So you have to be really, really diligent on incrementally learning each platform. I would start on Facebook because you have the largest audience. If I was selling a coaching program for real estate investors, I would start on YouTube. So it's really about the product that you're selling or what you want to attract. Ultimately, there's going to be some synergy of both. There's also LinkedIn, there's Twitter, there's TikTok, there's a million different platforms. But I wanted to really say that the reason I like Facebook is tied to my Instagram. So you're getting two platforms while you advertise at once. It's going to lead to better conversion. Now, if Facebook owned YouTube, that would be the ultimate triple threat. Couple good books to read.
When you guys get into Google, it's it gets convoluted and complex really quick. And like Dan said, it gets expensive because now we're targeting people specifically based upon keywords, right? And a different type of words, different type of keywords, how they're laid out, whether they're modified, phrase match, exact match. These are all different price points. For example, like we buy houses, right? That's a classic one. You know, that can be we buy houses. It's only 3 words, right? But how the word is searched, it changes the cost of that word, those 3 words, right? So like the cheapest one would be if somebody searches, we buy plastic houses for kids. Well, all those words are in there, but the intent is completely different, right? So, but if you put them in the right sequence, then now that keyword in Eugene might be $250 for 1 click. So your budget can get vaporized quickly. So you have to be really, really cautious. So just like Dan said, you know, Facebook, a lot easier to get started.
And let me give you guys like 12 books right now. I would single-handedly tell you guys that like the success in our business, there's 12 books right there. The success in our business of being able to do 50 plus transactions, like crazy amount of leads. I mean, I don't even know how many leads we've generated a month anymore. 3 to 500 leads. And some of those sources are really good leads, like meeting with people, appointments, is all having a marketing first methodology, not a flipping a house first, not a wholesaling first. It's all marketing. It all starts with marketing. If you don't understand it, how do you go out and create a better scalable investment business? And what's really funny is the #1 most expensive coach that real estate investors call once they're successful are masters in marketing. Masters in marketing. Grant Cardone said it. He goes, the most money I spend on coaches is not a life coach, is not a health coach. It's a marketing coach. Lead generation, opportunities, sales, marketing, kind of 2 different departments, but and effectively going to drive revenue. So I always try to say, like The Ultimate Sales Letter by Dan Gandee, really good book. Breathtaking Advertising, some of these Ogilvy on advertising, that's been around since me and Mike were in ad school. You've read that. $1 Million Mailings by Dennison Hatch. There's people we know that literally like they don't call or do any internet leads. All they do is direct mail, but their direct mail is so good and so frequent and so much volume that that's how they convert. There was a guy on a podcast, Ed, remember the Canadian guy that grew the real estate team to like over 100 transactions in 2 years? Never been a real estate agent. He was in he worked for a direct mail company in a little small town, like it was like Kelowna, BC. There's like 30,000 people. And he started a real estate brokerage team. And all he did was take what he learned at the direct mail company, and all he did is for real estate with amazing copy and offers. That's it. And he mailed it all around British Columbia. And now he's like in the top 5 real estate brokers in the entire province in 2 years. He knew nothing about, he even said on this podcast, he's like, I don't even know how to write an offer. He's like, I just started sending direct mail. He's like, I'll figure it out. So I really want to teach you guys when we do these marketing powwows is like, what are the actual actionable skills that are going to lead to predictable results versus, hey, here's this lead source. There's a reason why I didn't say, here's this lead source. Here's this YouTube advertising campaign company. Here's a Facebook ads person to hire. Because if you don't understand it, you don't understand what you're paying for, and then they suck at it, then you're gonna lose a bunch of money. And we've done it. You're learning from our thousands of dollars of mistakes. That's the key. Now, one last thing. Airbnbs. Let's say that you want to be an Airbnb operator. All right. Those are going to be non-owner occupied properties. So I'm going to leave you guys with a little golden nugget. They're a non-owner occupied property, because the person doesn't occupy the property. It's operating as an Airbnb. So if you take a little small town of like Lincoln City, Yachats, Gold Beach on the coast, and you pulled every non-owner occupied, and you sent out a letter and says, first question, didn't you think your Airbnb was going to make you a bunch of money? But it absolutely isn't. And you're taking loss after loss after loss every single year. Sell me your Airbnb. I'll buy it cash. No inspections. Close in 10 days. You got to lead with there's a bunch of people operating Airbnbs that are failing. They have licenses. Those licenses are worth gold in some of those cities. Take Bandon, for example. 2 years to get an Airbnb license in Bandon. Write a letter. Who's failing? You're going to get calls. The picture, just gigantic cash, right? Whatever it is. Tension grabbing, solve their problem. That's what I would do if I wanted to invest in a bunch of Airbnbs and turn them around. It's the same as value add on apartment complexes. It's the same of rescuing people that want to sell houses that need rehabbed. But I was just thinking to myself the other day, somebody called me on the coast and they said, hey, I looked to buy an Airbnb and there's no on the market and blah, blah, blah. I was like, send out direct mail. And they're like, what do you mean? And I just literally just said exactly what I just said. That's what you need to do. And just test the letters and never stop sending them until somebody calls you. Because somebody will call you. That's it. Any questions?
I have a question
Yes.
regarding starting a Facebook page. In other businesses where I've done that, it's important to grow your following. Is it like that with this too, or should I just strictly focus on ads to grow traffic to my page?
It really doesn't matter anymore because if you're going to put money in the machine, people are going to start following your page if you have good content, free content, right? So let's just say you ran an ad and they came back to your page, and then I'm going to give you a really good example that'll resonate. Do you know when you're scrolling through Facebook and it's like a police chase, like some sort of like chaos, right?
Yeah.
And oh, I really got to watch this stuff. And then you go to their Facebook business page and it's just like a bunch of viral videos. That's it. And then you just start digesting all of them. That's what I want you guys to remember. Because if you're selling like fish hooks or fishing lures, and then you're running an ad to grow this audience organically, right? It's not really organic because it's paid. The on-page content has to be as good as the ad that hooked them in, no pun intended, to get them into it, right?
Right.
And I think that's what people don't forget. They just have horrible content. It's like a bunch of templated posts from a vet or like a VA in the Philippines. And then you're running an ad to try to grow your engagement and a following. It doesn't work. There's always going to be those trigger things that are really, I think there was a page, there's a page that I follow on Instagram, which is like property inspection, like blunders. That's all it is. And it's like people who have like piped the wrong pipe into something and just pouring water into the next bedroom and all this chaos. But that guy, his whole content, he's got a huge following. I think he sells like property inspection courses to get training to start your own property inspection business. Like that's what he's selling, but he's leading with memes and content.
Got it.
So that's kind of the new wave of how advertising has shifted.
I just know when I click on things, if I see someone that doesn't have any followers, it kind of leaves me a little fishy with if they're legit or not. So I wasn't sure if that was going to be a concern when I just start a new page or not.
And there's ways around it. Like you can pay for followers. Facebook followers kind of stick around if you pay for them, but I don't suggest it. But most business pages are capped out at 5,000 unless it's been a page that's been around a long time before they made that rule. So my old construction company that was in Silicon Valley, I actually got invited to Facebook's headquarters because I had like 7,000, I forget the number. It was like 7,900 followers. This is like 2 years into business pages being out. So that's a lot. It was like 3,500 people a year for the first 2 years of business pages. And they took me into this survey group room. It was really weird because it was like my first time in any type of, and they paid me for my time and all this. But they said, how did you get, the number one question they asked wasn't like, what's your name and all this. They just immediately went to the objective. How did you get 7,887 followers? And I said, I only post content that I think would attract people who love gardens, people who love remodeling, people who love luxury real estate, or any type of construction project. And then I document every one of our projects. And then I constantly make themes to every single day of the week. So as people follow, they're expecting what's going to happen on like the Friday finish. It's another finished project. And it's beautiful with all these pictures that we professionally did. So it's like we created the system of content, but we also took the lid or took the hood and let people look at our engine. The good, the bad, and ugly. The page is gone now because the company basically got sold. But we were building a pool. And you know those little bobcats that you stand on?
No.
There's these little bobcats that you'll see landscape companies have that you stand on. They're not the ones you sit in. And
Oh, okay. Yeah, I've seen those.
Yeah.
somebody drove it in, like we bought it to jackhammer out the old pool, and we were going to widen the pool and make a square pool, rectangle pool. And they were there to put the concrete in it because it was a very narrow pass between the fence and the side yard. We couldn't drive a full size bobcat to the backyard to build. And somebody literally didn't know what they were doing and drove it into the pool. And so one of the posts that we did was the video of us having to hire a crane, removing the bobcat from somebody's swimming pool. And luckily the owner was like this funny dental salesman that had a really good personality. And he was yelling at us the entire time of how big of jackasses we were and why he hired us.
Wow.
That went viral. That was one of the things that we did. It just happened. It wasn't a staged stunt.
Right.
I just got a phone call one day when I was driving down the road from another estimate, and somebody said, hey, we drove the bobcat into the pool. And I said, don't move it. I'm coming. Because that stuff doesn't happen. Right. We got red tagged. Last thing I'll say, this is really funny because I know we got to go. We got red tagged at a project because we dug the hole on the blueprints that we submitted to the city in the wrong area. And then there was torrential downpour rains. It filled up with water and created a mudslide and went into the neighbor's property, and we got sued. We were straight up transparent about it. Like the whole thing is on Facebook. We're idiots. Like foreman got the blueprints, switched. He like looked at him this way, and he literally should have flipped the entire blueprint up because the hole was in a different place where we were building retaining walls. He dug like a 12-foot hole. It filled up with water, it mudslided into the neighbors and went onto their brand new Trex deck. And this is in California. Like you're getting OSHA. Like,
dang.
That's the kind of stuff that people wanted to see. And we just straight up I was like, hey, we're already getting in trouble for this. Let's just document it. So that's the kind of stuff that like really the day in the life of the investor is what people want. If you want to get investors to follow you, that's what they want. Are people selling you houses really want to see what you're doing every day? No. So it's all about the content that you're shooting and who that target market is. So,
well, I do that kind of stuff every day. Somebody should just follow me with a camera and it'll all go viral.
You should just pay somebody to follow you around. That's all they do is film you. Yeah. Mike talks to more people. It would just be a documentary of people he talks to. So thank you guys for coming. I hope this is really, really good.
It was. Thank you so much, Dan.
Thanks, Dan. It was nice meeting you too.
Yeah.
You too, guys. And reach out if you have any questions.
Excellent.
Yep.
Excellent.
And it's even
Thank
good
you.
to see you, Ed.
Hey, good to see you too, Mike. Always good.
Hey, have a good night.
See you
And
guys.
get lots of sleep, everyone.
Thanks.
Except for Tyler, you're not gonna.
Nope.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay, bye.